Welcome everybody, welcome back to another installment of Nain Shorts, or welcome to, if this is your first time, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. For those who are still watching and haven't done so, shame on you. Shame on you. It helps the algorithm, it helps us keep this thing going, and yada yada yada, like, subscribe, feeling guilty, sign up, all that. Because we really do enjoy what we do here. For those of you who don't know, this is me ranting about my training and the stuff that kind of pops up in reference to this. And recently we had a class, and I was looking around, and we have an eclectic number of people. Not only ages, but we also have body types. We have one that's really tall, a really tiny person who's hitting super hard, and she's only been at it for like maybe 3-4 classes at most. And when she was hitting that bag with the stick, dude, it was beautiful sound. And everyone in between, we have, big, small, thin, tall, all that. And I started thinking back when I was looking for martial arts, when I was just a fanboy and I was trying to watch as many programs on Discovery Channel or on Nat Geo about martial arts training. And I started noticing that a lot of schools, a lot of the traditional schools, the people in those classes, they all had very similar builds. They all were about the same height. Many of them started around the same time. They had similar body types. And depending on the art, you can almost kind of tell what they were more attuned to. So I started thinking, is there like a right art, a proper art for your specific body type? And I'm wondering now, what's my body type? Am I doing the art that best complements the way that I move, the way that my body articulates? And what I learned in the Blade of Mind is that the whole body, regardless of its size, it operates under the same principles, the joints and things like that. But yet, there are some people who have left a specific art because they physically cannot perform the things that are being asked of them, the things that they are required to be able to do to pass on to the next level, to get the next step, to progress in that art. So they leave, or they just simply cannot do it. And it becomes a frustrating process that they can't get over, because either they're not given the attention or the time to modify it, or they're pretty much flat out told that there is no modifying it. You're either going to fit this mold or you're not going to do it. Now, I seriously doubt that anyone's actually said that out. I take that back. I've heard some really messed up stories about certain instructors, and no, I'm pretty sure that at one point that has been said to somebody in the history of the martial arts. If you don't move the way we do, you can't be in this class. But I don't think that's everybody. But I do think that more often than not, that message does get across to certain students. And not because it's said directly, but simply because they see everybody else progressing. They see everybody else getting the stuff. They see them getting their next rank. They see them performing the art better. And they're stuck still trying to figure out how to do the first few steps, the first few moves. And is it really because they're just bad students? Probably not. Or maybe yes. There are way too many experiences and examples to say that it's one definitive thing. But we do have generalized ideas about it because there are things that happen. Stereotypes are stereotypes because we see them often enough where they become recognizable. I mean, I do a variation of Filipino martial arts in the Bladed Mind, and what I've noticed about grandmasters that do Filipino martial arts, especially the established lineages, have a gut. The old masters seem to have the same gut, right? And I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's a food thing or whatever the case may be, but there's a lot of experience there that's collected in their center, and they use it very well to move around. So I'm not taking away from their ability. I'm just noting that there's a certain physical look that a lot of them do have. And I also noticed that the next generation, the ones like Joseph Bautista and Jason and they have incredible physiques. I'm crushing on them a little bit because they do not fit the mold at all to what we've come to expect. And even bigger names like Jerry Wuhangi that have just incredible, articulation, I guess, movement, health. They just look good, man. They obviously put the time and effort into it. And I have to wonder how much of that actually influences the ability to do the art itself. Does it become a necessity to have that sort of body to be able to do certain things? And if so, is that the correct way of doing it? Should we expect students to look a certain way, to be a certain build, to be a certain level of athleticism? Because oftentimes it's the athletic ones that kind of progress really fast. It's not until we get older and wiser that we start understanding, oh, there are nuances in the training that we may have overlooked when we were young, when we were, hard-headed and we could go hard. And now that we're older and everything hurts, we finally start realizing, maybe there was a better way than just going in hard because we were young, because we had the energy, because we could take a beating, wake up the next day and take another beating, and then go out drinking, then take another beating the next day in training. The body wears and tears. I mean, if we're talking about pure mechanics of things, and if the human body, regardless of how tall, how short, how big, how small, has the same mechanics, well, then maybe we don't need to be a certain build to do certain things. Maybe we just need a different way of teaching it. Because I've noticed that in general, it breaks down to kind of two different categories in the schools. Either you have the ones that are stringent, and again, nothing wrong with that. It's just the history and the way that it was taught, and it's worked, and it continues to work, and it continues to progress. So, hey, why change it? But that rigidness in the study does bring out the better people to them, but it also brings a certain type of person to them, physically, and sometimes mentally. And that's what I see mostly. You see people who almost look all the same or think all the same, right? Sometimes a little blend of both, but that kind of generalized statement is what I've noticed in my personal experience. Now, I could be completely wrong, and I leave this up to the rest of you. Is that somewhat factual? Is there some sense of only certain type of people gravitate to a certain type of art and others don't? And the people that are left in the middle who don't fit either the mentality or the physicality get left behind? Because how often have we heard other instructors even admit to say, yeah, when I have a bigger class, I have a tendency to gravitate to these 3 people that are doing really, really good. And then the other 7, I kind of forget. And out of those 7, maybe 2 of them stay because they're loyal, they're putting in the work, they're having fun, they enjoy what they're doing so much. But what about the other 5? The ones that fell to the wayside, the ones that could have been great if a little bit more attention was put on them. And what does that say about your school, if you're an instructor, or the school that you're a part of? Do you harbor some sort of ideology like that, whether it's direct or not, whether it's something that maybe you've never even considered, that you only draw a certain kind of people, and those are only people that can do the thing already, or have the physicality to do it, or have the mentality to act a certain way, to really incorporate what's being taught? Now, I'm not saying that if that is the case, it should be changed. I'm just wondering if that's everywhere. Is that something that happens? Is that something that you guys have noticed? And how has that affected you? Has it helped you? Did you fit the mold so well that you just flew by in all the endeavors that you had in your martial arts journey? And then you achieved everything and you got it and you worked at it? Or were you one of the people that you could have been somebody? You could have been a contender. But because you just physically couldn't, it didn't happen for you. Hi. You good? You want to be on camera too? See, this is a prime example of what we're talking about here. Because Rick is old and slow, but he can kick my ass. This little dog is spry and is everywhere, all at once, running back and forth. And yet they both work together because, well, one's a dog and the other one's a human. But if we talk about the type of personalities, and not just the mentality or the physicality of a student, how do we bridge the gap so we can get, whether somebody's sporadic or spaz, whether somebody is athletic or whether somebody is not athletic, whether somebody gets the concept or somebody needs a bit more help in understanding. How do we bridge the gap so we have a class where we don't turn anybody away through our actions, through the lineage, through the curriculum, where we find ways to incorporate everyone into the art, except assholes. Those we don't like. Because we have turned people away because of their personalities, because of their character, because they asked us how they can get out of handcuffs while they're being arrested. Yes, we've actually had people ask stupid crap like that, and we told them we were full. Because no, we're not going to be responsive for that. And even now that I'm thinking about it, now that I said that statement, I have to consider, are we harboring a specific type of person in our class? And I will flat out tell you, yes, we are. A lot of the people that we have in our class, you would say, are maybe not the most confident people in the outside world, but they're good people. They're kind-hearted. They really wouldn't go out and harm anyone based on what we've seen of their character. But we want to make sure that they're capable of protecting themselves. And if we limit ourselves based on them not being able to perform what we want them to do physically, then we're doing them a disservice as instructors. So the Bladed Mind, thanks to Danny, thanks to Rick, and now me being in front of it, we want to make sure that we give everybody the same opportunity. Everybody who wants it, and especially the people that need it, to be able to learn and progress and truly be able to defend themselves outside of class, in the real world. And as always, I hope they never have to. But when you feel a bit more confident walking through life, knowing that, hey, at least I know I will be able to do something in a panic, that makes life a little bit easier to bear. And I know that's been my experience, and hopefully those experiences don't limit me from being able to reach a larger group of people, a larger group of students. So again, I leave that to you. What's your experience like? What are your thoughts on the matter? Are there certain things that keep people out in certain arts because of the way that it's taught, because of what is taught, or maybe because of the person who's teaching it? It's a lot to consider in reference to, do I fit the mold? And I'm still going to continue pondering, am I even in the right art that would fit me best? And I think the only way that I can ever truly answer that is if I go out there and try them all. I actually do. That's legitimately something I would love to do and hopefully get to in the future. But for now, I'm just going to keep on training. I'm going to keep on wondering and asking myself these crazy questions. And hopefully you are being entertained in the process. If not, at least makes you wonder just a little bit. And hopefully you come up with much, much better answers than I ever could. And when you do, please share. Because, help a brother out, okay? I want to grow too. And I don't have all the answers, and I will never claim to say that I do. So if you're willing to share, I'm willing to listen. Thank you very much for joining me on another one of Nain Short. Hopefully this has raised a few interesting questions in your head, and if it hasn't, well, at least you were entertained, and if you weren't, why are you still watching? But either way, I appreciate you very much. So to the next one. 3, 2, 1, cut!